Okay, so we're going to learn today, begin today, a new series of classes about the most fundamental principle in Judaism. The Chofetz Chaim says that although Maimonides says there are 13 principles of faith, and they're all the foundations of our faith, Yesodei, a foundation means that the building rests on this foundation. Nevertheless, all other fundamentals of faith are a fundamental. They're something that faith hinges upon, but it's just one of the fundamentals of faith. However, in regards to the coming of Mashiach, the Chofetz Chaim says this is Yesod HaYesodis. This is the most fundamental of all fundamentals. This is what holds it all together. So we understand, why is this fundamental? But I mean, the Torah does say Mashiach will come. The Torah does say that there will be the resurrection of the dead. The Torah does say that all these wonderful things will happen. And so, just like if you deny anything in the Torah, so you're not considered a believer, because this is part of our faith. This is basic to our faith. But that's the eighth principle of faith. The eighth principle of faith is that Hashem gave us the Torah, and the Torah is true, and everything in the Torah is true. But it's not a separate principle. So, for example, it says in the Talmud that there are 6 Rekiim. There are 6 things which are called skies. So there are 7 rather. If there are 7 Rekiim, let's say someone says, I don't believe in the Talmud. I don't believe there's 7. I believe that there's 12. So he's denying the Torah. He's saying the Torah isn't true. But there's nothing specific about what he's saying that goes against our faith. Because, for example, let's say he had no idea that there is a Talmud. He had no idea that our Torah says that there's something called the sky. And he had no idea that the Talmud says that there's 7 of them. He just thinks that, well, there's all he knows about is the stratosphere and the atmosphere. He doesn't know what the Talmud's talking about. By the way, I don't know either. But that's a different subject. 7 skies, what it means, it's a spiritual thing, but it also has a physical counterpart, whatever, that's a different subject. The point is, I could still be a believing Jew and not know what it is, because I just don't know what it is. But if I didn't believe, let's say, in the Torah comes from heaven, so then there's something fundamental about my faith that's missing. If I don't believe in the coming of Mashiach, says Maimonides, says the Chofetz Chaim, I'm missing something fundamental in my Judaism. Not because it says so in the Torah. There are many things the Torah says that if I wouldn't know about them, I'd still could be considered a believer. But if I don't know about the coming of Mashiach, even though it's not my fault, I didn't know about it. I don't know about the coming of Mashiach. It's not just that I am. If I don't know about the coming of Mashiach, it's not just that I am unaware of something. If I don't know about the coming of Mashiach, then I am considered a heretic, even though it's not my fault. So the question is, why is our faith predicated on Mashiach coming? Why is that so important? There's 2 parts to the question. Question number 1 is, as other commentaries ask, as the Chassam Sefer asks, he says, one of the principles of faith is that Hashem rewards us for what we do, and that there's consequences for what we do. So the consequences that we have for doing whatever we're doing, by the way, Yonatan, think about consequences. You said a bracha, right? I didn't hear you. Just making sure. Okay. Let's start it up with you. Anyways, so the consequences, the other commentaries ask, some Sefer asks, they don't seem to be fundamental to Judaism. We're not supposed to learn Torah because we expect to be rewarded. We're supposed to learn Torah without thought of reward. Yes, Hashem rewards us, but is that fundamental to faith? So that's how other commentaries ask about the other principles of faith. Why is it so critical to our faith and all this reward and punishment? A similar question could be asked about the coming of Mashiach. Yes, the coming of Mashiach is a reward for keeping mitzvot and learning Torah. It's a reward, fine. But why is that reward the basis of our faith? If I would study Torah, and I wouldn't believe that Torah is coming from God, so then my study of Torah would be missing something basic. I would be doing something which has no content. So I understand why believing that the Torah comes from God is basic to my faith. But believing that I'm going to be rewarded or not, as a Chassam Sefer, believing the Mashiach will come or not, why is that fundamental to faith? If I don't believe in the Torah, okay, then this is a part of the Torah. But why is this specific fact pertinent to all the ethos of Judaism, to all the performance of Torah. That's question number one. Another thing that's unique about this principle, about the coming of Mashiach, as Maimonides says, is not only that you have to believe the Mashiach will come, the Rambam says you have to wait for his coming. And Maimonides says, "Call me she'ein mamen b'hi," anyone who does not believe in the coming in Mashiach, or mi she'ein mechake l'biyaseh, he does not await the coming of Mashiach, he doesn't expect the coming of Mashiach, doesn't yearn for the coming of Mashiach. Maimonides says not only does he not deny the other prophets, he denies the Torah and Moses. That's what Maimonides says. The question is, by the other principles, we don't find this. If you don't expect a reward, you're not waiting for a reward, it's okay. In fact, that's considered to be laudable. You're not thinking about reward, you're just serving Hashem out of love. Why is it that we have to yearn for the coming of Mashiach? Why is that pertinent to our faith? So these questions point to this. They point to the coming of Mashiach as not only being a reward for our mitzvahs. It's not just that Hashem will give us something in tribute to what we've done now. Rather, the point of the creation of the world is, as the Talmud says, Hashem desired to have a home in the lowest realm. And the meaning of a home, just like by a human being in their home, they're able to be completely themselves. They don't have to dress a certain way. They're complete as they want to be. So too, when we talk about Hashem having a home in this world, what that means is that Hashem has many. Hashem himself has no composition, as we learned many times, no definition, no limitation, and yet Hashem created many worlds, which all have some perception of His truth. But all these worlds, even the highest of worlds, are still in the dark. There's no revelation of Hashem's essence in any of these worlds. But Hashem desired that in this world, the lowest of all worlds, there should be the revelation of His very essence, the way He is. The Talmud says that you're not allowed to see a king when he is naked. A king has to be presented to the people, be yafe with his beauty. He has to look good. He has to wear his clothing. He has to look like a king. So, but that's the way the king presents to his people. The king in his private chambers doesn't have those rules. So the desire of Hashem is he wants a home in the world. That means is that as he is in himself, as he is, so to speak, relaxed, as he's fully expressed, that's the way he wants to be in this world. He wants to be, this should be his home. So therefore, the Alter Rebbe says, Mashiach will come, the Torah says, your teacher will no longer hide. The word yikonef also means garment. There won't be any more. The Alter Rebbe says Hashem will no longer hide himself with a garment. There are various degrees of God's revelation in all the worlds. When Mashiach will come, be the revelation of God's essence. And this is achieved specifically through Torah mitzvahs. Torah mitzvahs is what causes this revelation. And the Torah mitzvahs were also specifically given to this world. The angels wanted the Torah in heaven, but God desired to give the Torah and its commandments specifically to the lowest of all worlds. And by performing Torah mitzvahs, we draw down God's very essence into the physical world. Because Torah mitzvahs is connected to his essence, as we learned in the previous classes, that the Gemara says in Shabbos, end of chapter Rabbeinu, the very first word Hashem used when he gave us the Torah was I, Anoichi, which stands for the words I, my soul, I wrote it and gave it. Hashem put his very essence in Torah. And because his very essence is in Torah, therefore, when we learn Torah, we do mitzvahs, we draw down his essence in the physical world where we're performing the Torah. So it's not that Hashem is giving us a reward that's independent from what we're doing today. Hashem's reward is sort of like you on your exercise bike over there. For example, I could work in the post office, and I'm working in the post office. I'm working in FedEx, wherever I'm working, and I am I'm in the department that's sending parcels that weigh 10 pounds, and then I'm getting paid at the end of the month $3,000. I'm not creating money. I'm sending parcels. The parcels I'm sending have nothing to do with what I'm doing. That's just that I'm giving something in tribute to my work. My work and my payment are not the same. But in regards to the coming of Mashiach, the Alter Rebbe says, the Gemara says, the reward for the mitzvah is the mitzvah itself. The mitzvah itself is the reward. In other words, we are creating the coming of Mashiach. It's not that we'll learn Torah and do mitzvahs, and then Hashem gives us something else, the coming of Mashiach. But when we learn Torah today, we're also drawing down God's essence. I was thinking it's like exercise, because when you exercise, you're actually creating that beautiful physique that you seek. Anyway, so the learning of Torah and doing mitzvahs is considered it's considered differently in light of the coming of Mashiach. When you realize that your Torah and your mitzvahs make a difference in the world, that they actually create the coming of Mashiach, that transforms the way you learn Torah, the way you do a mitzvah. It transforms the way you say a bracha. You're not just saying a bracha, you're drawing down God's essence today, and it's not revealed yet, but this is what you're creating the coming of Mashiach. You're creating the purpose, you are fulfilling the purpose of why God created the world in the first place. So it's not just a reward, it's the whole purpose of creation. And that's why this is fundamental to our faith. So the idea of waiting for the coming of Mashiach, the Chafetz Chaim writes, says in the Torah, Pisaim Yaveh HaMelech, says in the Nil, the king will come suddenly. It doesn't say that, although the Talmud says many things will happen before Mashiach comes, nevertheless, the Munkatcherov, the Rebbe of Brisk, and others say that to say that I can only wait for Mashiach to come if Eliyahu Navi comes yesterday is wrong. Why is it wrong? As they explain basically, since the Torah says Hashem will come suddenly, so therefore Mashiach will come. And although the Gemara says A, B, and C has to happen for Mashiach to come, for Mashiach's coming. Who's that? Oh, good morning. How are you? You work here? Wow. It's only you're on candid camera, so you know. Good seeing you. Have a great day. So this is exactly how I just talking about Mashiach coming suddenly out of nowhere. You know, that's what it is. Out of nowhere. So that's how Mashiach's going to come suddenly. Therefore, the Chafetz Chaim says, since it says Mashiach will come suddenly, therefore you have to wait for his coming all the time. So yeah, just a point in case in point. If I knew my cousin was walking into the room, I wouldn't. I would act differently, right? Because I act differently when you're around different people, right? Anyways, not that I have anything with this particular cousin, just an example. Okay, so there's certain things you do around certain people. So that's why the Chafetz Chaim says that since the Torah doesn't say any conditions. What about all the things the Gemara says? The Gemara says Al Yonav has to come the day before. The Gemara says this has to happen, that has to happen. So the Mukasharav and Relva Brisker say that Mashiach will come, will answer those questions. But the fact is the fact. It's very important when you learn Gemara in general. They don't, like someone was telling me the other day, Rabbi, I'm looking for my soulmate. He's 21 years old. I'm looking for my soulmate, but I'm afraid because the Talmud says that you have this amount of soulmates in a lifetime and maybe I missed them. Before going into the Talmud and understanding the Talmud, realize that God cares about you. God takes care of you. And you're okay because you're in God's hands. What does the Talmud mean about the 6 soulmates? Learn the Talmud tomorrow. But today, realize you're in good hands. Similar way, the commentators on the fundamentals of faith tell us that believe Mashiach is coming today. What about this passage and that passage? Mashiach will come and answer all the questions. But that's basic to our faith, that Mashiach will come suddenly. Okay, that's true in history in general. However, in our time, is something more. One of the most basic things in Judaism, a principle of our faith, is to believe in divine inspiration, to believe that there are people that have divine inspiration that they see the future and they could tell us things in the future. But in our time, we don't have to have this as a principle of faith. We saw a Jew who said things about the future, and they happened. Everything that he said happened. This Jew spoke about for example, these classes are based upon the teachings of Rabbi Yol Khan, and Rabbi Yol Khan was talking about the Rebbe's prophecy about the first Gulf War. The Rebbe said that everyone was going to be okay, and the Rebbe said they don't need to have the gas masks. And when the Rebbe said this, you could take out the newspapers from that time that he's saying this, but there's no basis for this. How could and in fact the very first reports out of Israel when the first Scud missile hit was there's blood everywhere, and it wasn't true. But that's the reality. People not only before didn't expect, but even at this was completely beyond what anyone knew. And the Rebbe spoke about, before anyone knew, that Rosh will open its doors, and all the Jews will be allowed to leave. And Rabbi Yol mentioned something about, the Rebbe said about Syria. I didn't know this. The Rebbe said something about the Jews being allowed out of Syria. I'm not familiar. Anyways, but all the things the Rebbe said, we saw happen. And so the Rebbe says the Mashiach is coming. It's not just like it was in previous generations, that people believe in the coming Mashiach because Mashiach will come suddenly and you don't know when he's going to come exactly. We know that's just, he could come. Now we know clearly he will come, because the Rebbe is telling us that this is the fact that Mashiach is coming. It's coming now. All the signs of the Torah point to Mashiach coming now. So it's not just that he can come, but that he will come. But the evil inclination is a craftsman, and he could make us think that there's some kind of agenda over here, that that there is a interest in us thinking that Mashiach is going to come in order to get us to do something, do Torah, do mitzvahs. But that's not exactly what's going on. It's true that the Rebbe, like no one else, invested his whole being in promotion of learning Torah and doing mitzvahs. But this is not something about learning Torah and doing mitzvahs. The Rebbe is telling a fact. The fact is the Mashiach is coming. And the reason the Rebbe is telling us this is, number one, is that the Rebbe loves the Jewish people, and therefore he tells them good news. The Mashiach is coming. And number two is that we shouldn't be embarrassed. Mashiach will come. And how are we going to not be embarrassed? By preparing for the coming Mashiach. Just like if you know that a guest is coming to your house, you prepare for the guest, you clean the floor, and you prepare everything. You put this kind of stuff in the house that the guest would appreciate. So too, since we know Mashiach is going to come, and we have to prepare for what Mashiach would find to be something that he liked to see when he comes. So what is Mashiach about? Mashiach will bring back to the Jewish people, back to the world, the perfection of Torah mitzvahs. Mashiach will come, will perform the Torah mitzvahs perfectly. And therefore, the way to prepare for the coming Mashiach is by studying Torah and doing mitzvahs, and especially studying about Chassidus, which we're coming out soon to the 19th of Kislev, when Hashem gave us the gift of the inner dimension of the Torah. All other mitzvahs we're not able to perform because of either because our evil inclination is stopping us from having the right concentration, or because there are various physical components that aren't here to perform those mitzvahs. But there's one mitzvah which is the basis of all other mitzvahs. Among the fundamentals of faith, this is the first of everything, which is to believe in Hashem. So the mitzvah of knowing Hashem we can only do when we have the information. The Mashiach will come, we're going to have the full knowledge of Hashem, and therefore we'll be able to, as much as man can know, and therefore we'll be able to fulfill this mitzvah perfectly. So therefore, they have to prepare for the coming Mashiach is by learning Torah and doing mitzvahs, and especially studying about the coming Mashiach. Rabbi Yol also mentioned something interesting. He said the evil inclination might say, hey, fine, believe the Mashiach is coming yourself, but don't tell anybody about it, because you might, if Mashiach doesn't come, it won't look good. So he said, think about it. The one who cares the most about Jews keeping Torah mitzvahs is, who is the one? Do we care ourselves? Where did this come from, this idea of spreading Judaism to others? It comes from the Rebbe. And the Rebbe is the one who cares more than any other Jew about Jews keeping Torah mitzvahs. And the Rebbe is telling us, tell them Mashiach is coming, but they need to know this. So obviously this would be something that would affect if Mashiach doesn't come. The only one that would care the most about that is the one who's telling us to do it. So we got to get ready for the coming Mashiach. We got to realize it's happening. It's happening now as we see the signs in the Torah being fulfilled in front of our eyes, even more than ever before. In the events just in this last week, amazing events in Syria and other places. And let's make it happen. L'chaim, l'chaim. Great day. Throw to vote.